Ladies and gentlemen, hit subscribe to this channel right now. The Supreme Court will, on Monday, come out finally with the decision in a landmark, historic victory, constitutional victory for President Trump, future president, former President Trump, and future President Trump over the special counsel. It was an unmitigated disaster last night. We'll get to that in a second. Hillary Clinton is going to be facing Trump. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I've been telling you this for years. Some people say Newsom. I don't see that at all, but that could take place. I think that Hillary is back, and for a number of reasons, but hit subscribe. The Supreme Court on Monday will give partial presidential constitutional immunity to Trump. This is a huge, huge, monumental victory. I told you that Trump would get a 9-0 unanimous Supreme Court victory, overturning the absurd Colorado ban. That's the first victory, ladies and gentlemen, a constitutional, presidential, historic Supreme Court victory. The second that I'm telling you is going to take place, and I've been telling you every single day, is the immunity, presidential immunity. He did not break any laws. The special counsel leveled a very broad, ambiguous, all-encompassing, very vague legal statute against Trump. And so he will get partial immunity. He's protected. He can perform a speech. He can he could speak to political allies in different states. Nothing he did was actually illegal. And so today you got January defendants getting a huge victory by the Supreme Court. The sentencing was unconstitutional. We'll get to that a little later. And he'll get his absurd guilty verdict overturned. A state cannot level a federal statute at anyone without the federal government involved. The FEC already dropped the case. To my super chat, thank you, Paul Bartlett in Australia. I love you. Thank you, sir. Everyone here, Paul, everyone here, to my super chat members, thank you throughout the world. Ladies and gentlemen, what have I been telling you? Have I not been telling you? Carl, Shabbat Shalom to you. Thank you. Have I not been telling you they're going to replace mashed potato brains? Have I not been telling you this for years now? And you can look. I told you this, if you remember my old background in my old quote-unquote studio, which is pretty awesome. They're all vintage, authentic vintage magazines from Life and Sports Illustrated. Anyway, I told you right here, Hillary Clinton running for president, and that was 2 years ago. That was January 14th, 2022. Eventually, it's going to take place. Eventually, it's going to take place. You're going to, I want you to just take a trip down memory lane, because this is Back to the Future. I have been telling you this, ladies and gentlemen. You saw what took place last night. You saw, ladies and gentlemen, what took place last night. Anyway, let's listen to one of her former very close advisors, Dick Morris, who became conservative and, basically told the world about the inner workings of that presidency and of Madam Secretary's quest for unmitigated, unwavering quest for political power. There's no way, ladies and gentlemen, that they're just going to keep mashed potato brains. Last night was deliberate. They could have given him some makeup. He looked, it was almost as if Trump was opposite, God forbid. I want to be respectful. This was a travesty. It was embarrassing for the entire country. And to put somebody up on stage it was sinister. It was a sinister thing to do. But let's go ahead. Hillary Clinton's going to be opposite Trump, people, and I told you this would happen.
Yes, folks, you are hearing this right. Hillary Clinton may be considering to run for president again. She keeps hinting at it. So let's check in with host of Dick Morris Democracy, Dick Morris himself. Dick, do you think she's actually going to run again?
Well, I've always said that the way you could tell if Hillary's running again is check whether she has a pulse or not. And if she does, most likely she's running. But lately, there's been a very significant sign that indicates that she is in fact planning to run. She gave an interview earlier this week with MSNBC, where she talked about, quote, "We have to think clearly and be clear-eyed about what it will take to win the House and the Senate." And she then proceeded to basically blame AOC and the progressives for policies that she said could endanger the Democratic majorities.
She's not wrong.
It's kind of odd to see a candidate doing the blame game for an election that hasn't happened yet.
Right.
But she was. And then, interestingly, the reply came from AOC, who said, we need to enact the balanced budget, the Build Back Better program, and that unless we do so, we're going to lose the midterm elections. So you have dueling views from the center and the left about what's going to happen, what's going to cause the collapse of the party, even though it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
And I think that's presaging the campaign. I think Hillary's message will be, after the wipeout that'll happen next year, they're going to blame each other. And AOC will use that to challenge the leadership and say she should run. And I think that Hillary's going to use that to say that we need a saner, more moderate approach in order to win. And I think it'll set up a conflict between Hillary and AOC for the Democratic nomination.
Yeah, but
all right, well, that didn't happen. AOC really doesn't have any actual political power. What Democrats do is they use Bernie Sanders, who is essentially a political tool, a political arrow within the Democratic Party's arsenal. And what they do with Bernie Sanders, AOC, I know this firsthand. I was on the left for most of my life, up until about 6-7 years ago. They lie to their voters all the time. Nobody's talking about Medicare for all or single-payer health care. That was the biggest scam and grift of all time. You have certain pundits raising money, possibly illegally in terms of campaign finance, violations. But you have AOC, who's been accused of campaign finance issues. But what they do is they find these very important, popular, unrealistic, utopian policy objectives like single payer or banning fracking or Green New Deal. And it's something the Democrats would never in a million years pass because they're either unrealistic, it's not possible to enact or implement within a country of 320 to 340 million Americans, or who knows how many people during Biden's administration entered the country. But anyway, the point is you have a Democratic Party that uses ideology through AOC, Bernie Sanders, and others. They have no intention of ever in a million years implementing any of these objectives, okay? It's all a racket. And they don't even have a functioning primary. They railroaded Bernie Sanders. I've been telling you this entire thing is a theatrical performance. They chose mashed potato brains 4 years ago. Clinton probably still wanted it 4 years ago, but it just wasn't. She didn't have the momentum or the influence because they wanted a sure thing. And they knew that they could do a whole bunch of, they knew that they could defeat Trump because of a number of reasons we really can't talk about. So then, after 4 years of an unmitigated catastrophe, you have last night culminating into a very embarrassing, sad, pathetic, really, I would say, despicable and sinister decision by Democrats to put this man in a position where, I mean, they didn't even put makeup on him, okay? They didn't even put, I mean, that was by design. Nixon versus JFK. It was the first televised debate. There's a reason that he looked so pale and, I mean, there's a reason he looked, there's other reasons too. I mean, he's one fry short of a Happy Meal. The lights are on, but nobody's home. And he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. We can go on forever. But the point is, the theatrical performance is over. This was always about the Clinton and President Obama power structure within the Democratic Party. You will see socialists, communists vote for Hillary Clinton in a heartbeat. They have no problem doing so. They will. There is no left in the United States of America. I'm trying to tell everybody this. Anyway, let's continue.
Now, there'll be two other candidates. The blacks will have one, probably Cory Booker, and most likely the establishment will have one.
Thank you also, Spaceship, the secret spaceship. Thank you to my super chat. Thank you so much. Paul Bartlett, the secret spaceship. Thank you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, it's taking place. Morris is he's spot on. Overall, you know what? They didn't really have a primary. They actually did away with Iowa in the beginning because they were so tired of cheating Bernie Sanders in Iowa, which happened back-to-back times. That, of course, is a fact. Anyone who would disagree is kind of like an AI robot, an artificial intelligence, wonderful, morally superior, liberal Democratic Party robot.
Probably Pete Buttigieg, and I see a four-way race coming.
Well, but Dick, you bring up an interesting point there. You have AOC saying if we don't pass BBB, then we're going to lose the House. Hillary Clinton saying if you do pass BBB, you're going to lose the House. So either way, the Democrats are right because one of them's got to be wrong. So Hillary Clinton, look, they're going to lose the House no matter what. So she knows.
Senate, Carl.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, they know that. But here's the problem: is Hillary Clinton's been in this game a long time. I just totally disagree with her policies, and I think she was just a terrible candidate. But that doesn't mean she doesn't know how to play the game. So when you're playing the game against people who've been in Congress like a hot minute, like AOC. What do you think the opposition is going to be once they're in the minority? Does Hillary Clinton go on the "I told you so, let's moderate" campaign, or does she actually kind of slide over like Joe Biden did into basically Bernie Sanders' agenda?
No, there'll be all kinds of running room on the center for a Democrat because Democrats will be crazy about why they lost the House and the Senate. And she can exploit a backlash against.
Okay, so they didn't get the Senate, Republicans, because Republicans like Paul Ryan literally used a dossier purchased by Clinton to investigate Trump for 4 years, and then they blamed Trump for losing Georgia and other states. It's like, no, you are the biggest fools and buffoons. The Republican Party for the past 3 years prior to Trump, the past 5, 6, 7, 8 years, they investigated a Republican president in Trump who gave us, the country, 3 conservative justices, federal justices, an end to our never-ending military conflict in Afghanistan with the Doha Agreement that Biden completely botched. Record low poverty, record highs in household median income. He allocated more funding to historically black colleges and universities than any president ever. Trump did. And what do Republicans do? They investigate him based on absurd lies, deceitful statements, nonsense, information that misinforms in a Steele dossier, and intelligence reports that are completely fabricated. And so then they say, well, why it's just Trump's personality. We lost. Like, no, you investigated your own political party's president, you buffoons. But let's continue. He should have been defended by Paul Ryan, not investigated by Paul Ryan. But anyway, let's continue.
It's the possibility of AOC winning to use that to fuel her own candidacy. And the other part, of course, don't forget the blacks will have a candidate named by Obama, and my guess is Cory Booker. And
not Michelle?
So he was talking about a potential primary. There was no primary, okay? The theatrical performance was go with Biden until the debate, and then we see what took place. Let's go ahead. I mean, this is like a month ago, okay? Hillary is in the news every single day. Why do you think that's taking place, ladies and gentlemen? And Paul, thank you. Secret Spaceship, thank you. To my super chat, thank you.
So the beef, right? We've had office as evidenced by the Colangelo example.
And as this New York trial rolls on, Trump's 3 other...
All right, let's go ahead. Actually, you know what? Let's hold on.
Now, one of them, his federal election interference case, hinges on the Supreme Court's impending decision on presidential immunity. Now, justices heard arguments late last month, and they're supposed to deliver their decision by the end of their term, which is in late June. But former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton had this knock on the high court yesterday. Take a listen.
The Supreme Court is doing our country a grave disservice in not deciding the case about immunity. What we heard when this case was tried before the Supreme Court, to my ear at least, were efforts to try to find loopholes, to try to create an opportunity for Trump to have attempted to overturn an election, to have carried out hundreds and hundreds of pages of very highly classified material for his own amusement, interest, trading.
Clinton had servers with top secret intelligence emailed, transferred on them somehow. It is literally impossible, highly illegal, and not possible from a cybersecurity perspective. And Clinton did not have, like Biden, did not have the power to declassify. A president, Navy versus Egan is one Supreme Court precedent, but a president has the power to declassify. Furthermore, we just found out the Bureau tampered with evidence and actually brought classified document cover sheets and folders, which is so hilarious. And so to just like for the photo op. But anyway, so they tampered with evidence. The whole thing was, look, the Clintons are very, very good at politics. They're very good at utilizing bureaucracy, media, government, intel agencies, or former foreign intel agents. Clinton was actually fined by the FEC for purchasing the Steele dossier with campaign money. Bernie Sanders was completely railroaded by the Democratic National Committee in a theatrical performance of a primary. I'm the only person who still lives in 2016. I'm like a hologram of 2016, everybody. And I'm telling you, could it be Newsom or somebody else? Maybe, but I don't see anyone but Hillary Clinton. She's the one who can raise money. She will lose to Trump. There's like a 2%, 5% chance she could win. But she actually did commit crimes. Trump did not. People will still see that even though he was convicted in New York. She is not, obviously. But when they see, let's say they actually have a debate before November, it'll be Back to the Future, and the entire planet will say, okay, that person did commit crimes with private servers, and, you know, you could look at a litany of things about the Clintons. And even though Trump might not have, I do believe the Supreme Court will overturn the conviction, but he might not have his conviction overturned before their debate. Let's say they have a debate, Trump and Clinton. People will say, yeah, he's convicted, but he didn't really commit a crime. That was more or less a political stunt. Clinton did commit crimes, but got away with them. That's how people will see things. Clinton can raise money. She has immense power within the Democratic Party. The Democratic National Committee, its primary, the way they choose nominees, it's a theatrical performance. It's performance art. There's nothing that correlates to actual rules or regulations. They just make things up as they go along. And so, anyway, let's continue.
Leo, Hillary Clinton knows a thing or two about mishandling classified information. What do you make of her comments?
Thank you for that question. I've been waiting all day for this. Hillary Clinton is still in denial. Newsflash, she lost the 2016 election. The Supreme Court did a marvelous job, and if Hillary is watching, let me make it clear. There is a distinction between official conduct in the office of the presidency that is required to receive immunity and personal conduct. The Supreme Court did an excellent analysis, unlike the Court of Appeals, and they are making a factual finding as to sending this case probably back to the district court for analysis as to what is covered by immunity and what is not covered by immunity based on official versus personal acts. So Hillary Clinton is just simply sour grapes. This is a woman, if I'm correct, wiped out a server, bleach wash evidence, and got away with it without facing any federal prosecution. So this is a person who is just still angry about losing the election because the voters rejected her.
Yeah, and we all remember that infamous press conference with FBI Director James Comey at the time where he laid out all that.
John, thank you. Everybody, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not, people can't wrap their minds around it, okay? It's not as, people don't want to hear that Trump is going to face Hillary Clinton, but it's happening slowly but surely. And I've been right about the Supreme Court decisions. I told people long ago that Clinton would lose to Trump. It was just me and Sticks, X, and Hammer and all of YouTube saying that. Everyone said Clinton would win. Many said in a landslide, and I said no, Trump would win. And I'm telling you, Hillary Clinton is the only chance they have to raise enough money to even be competitive, because there is a built-in voting base. 50, but maybe 45, no, maybe 50 to 70-year-old women who are lifelong Democrats will still vote for Clinton overwhelmingly. That's not going to change. I don't think Newsom or anyone else has that. Okay. In addition to the fact that the Democratic Party is a machine, a political machine. It's not about meritocracy. Okay, it's not about meritocracy. It's about a machine, a political machine that does that the calculus is about political power and influence. That's it. That's why they purchased the Steele dossier. That's why they have servers and don't get indicted for them. That's why they accuse Trump of being a Kremlin operative without a shred of evidence. Zero, not even a shred of evidence. And they get away with 2 years of investigating Trump. Not a shred of evidence. People say, oh, intel reports. An intel report is an assessment that is not evidence. It's like someone's opinion, basically. Unfortunately, we've gotten into never-ending military conflict because of these wonderful reports. But anyway, let's continue.
That evidence, but said we're not going to charge her. Thank you to our panel, gentlemen. Go ahead and stay with us this morning. We're going to come back to you as this trial continues to unfold.
Trip down memory lane, people.
And you'll be addressing tomorrow Hillary Clinton in a speech. It turns out to be a rebuttal because she went today. What do you plan to focus on?
Well, look, she has had a very bad time of it if you really look at her record. Her record is a disaster. In addition to taking in tens and tens of millions of dollars from people for lots of different things and lots of different ways, and countries that should not be giving her money or her husband money. And we talk about that, and we talk about her record, and her record is terrible. And she's crooked Hillary. Let's face it, she's crooked Hillary. She always has been, and nothing's going to change. And the last time she spoke, I let her speak, and I noticed everything. I mean, so many of the things she said were outright lies, fabrications. And I said, this time we're going to cover it point by point. And we're also...
See, they say Trump lies. Nobody lies. Not even close to the way Democratic politicians lie. And the way they work is the following. They'll have the Washington Post fact check everything Trump says. The Washington Post will slice and dice and eviscerate every word, all examples of hyperbolic statements. Like Trump will say, the economy's great. And they'll say, no, it's not the best ever. It's very good, but not the best ever. 17.6 Pinocchios. They will focus on minutia and things that make that aren't relevant at all. Clinton will say, for example, I use servers for convenience, and nobody will call that a lie. Basically, what Democrats do is they insult your intelligence by making the most absurd claims, and then they say, well, you can't prove it's not a lie. It's like, well, yeah, you don't use private servers for convenience without a government email. But again, like Biden said, he had 9% inflation. He didn't have 9% inflation when he took office. The laptop wasn't information that misinforms from the Kremlin. We can go on forever. Okay, Eric Holder and Merrick Garland were held in contempt of Congress. The DNC railroaded their own candidate in Bernie Sanders and then forced Bernie Sanders to say, oh, Vladimir, I don't want your help. I mean, listen, if you understand politics, which is why you watch this channel, and everybody here understands politics in the same way I do, okay, we know what's going on. If you understand politics, you understand it's Democrats that lie the most, not Trump. But anyway, but if you're not really into politics, you'll just think, oh, Trump, he's a big liar. Oh my God. It's like, nah, if you get politics, if you understand, if you're into what's happening, you know that media and Democrats routinely, almost every day, fabricate quotes, utilize lies by omission. They will utilize gossip, hearsay, through anonymous sources, and then call that fact. And nothing is more despicable than that. But anyway, let's continue.
I'm going to cover it. I'm going to do a speech after she speaks. So we're going to do the speech, and then sometime later in the week, I head out to Europe, to Scotland, where I'm opening up the Great Turnberry Resort, which is one of my international deals, one of my many. And then I come back, and I just love this. I'm having a great time campaigning. But we want to keep her as honest as possible, which is not easy to do.
Your focus on Hillary Clinton. You're the first Republican presidential presumptive nominee to focus on the middle class, working men and women and their families.
That's why I'm doing that.
And international trade, the first.
Right.
And you have a unique
And he's the first Republican to say, no, we don't want never-ending wars. The first Republican since Reagan to be like that.
appeal to independents as well as to the Republicans that you've brought into the primary process. Where do you take that message on illegal immigration, working men and women, job creation, and restoring prosperity?
Wages, just wages. You look, Lou, I mean, you know, one of the most incredible statistics is for 18 years, middle-class people haven't had a real wage increase. And in some cases now they're working 2 jobs and they're making less money than they used to make.
Right.
A lot of part-timers because of Obamacare, which is a disaster, which we're going to repeal and replace with something much better and much less money. But I have hit a chord. I mean, I make speeches. I have 35,000 people coming, 25,000 people. The other day we had a speech in Houston, Texas. They had a line. I don't know if you got to see it.
Sure.
The longest line anyone's ever seen going into an arena or a convention center. And I mean, I have never even seen anything like that. Now, we had 5,000 seats and we had tens of thousands of people not able to get in.
All right, everybody. I just wanted to do this. You know, tomorrow we will talk again about the Supreme Court and a huge monumental historic victory on the horizon Monday. I mean, actually, it's better. The longer they wait, actually, it's better. So, but, then you're going to get his conviction overturned. It's highly unconstitutional. He'll have 3 major victories that I've predicted in the Supreme Court. And you'll get the wonderful, talented, amazing, brilliant, very moral and honest and compassionate Hillary Clinton, who every socialist, every fake and phony communist and socialist and far left progressive, it's almost all, especially the major pundits, almost all, like the 1 million subs to 4 million, all a racket. They're going to gleefully vote for Clinton again. And I just told you, it's a racket. I've been saying that Hillary's going to come back for years. She's coming back. She's the only person that could give Democrats an actual chance. I'm not a fan. I'm just saying. She's the only person who can give them a chance. She'll lose again, though, to Trump. But they have a chance. The frightening thing is they do have a chance with Hillary. They have no chance with mashed potato brains. We saw that last night. I've been telling you long before the investment banking report that came out that said that mashed potato will be replaced. They said they're not going to. This is a racket. It's a theatrical performance, ladies and gentlemen. And again, I say people it's not interesting to people. It's not interesting. You know, people don't want to hear that now, but I'm telling you, it will be very interesting when it does happen and they pass the leadership off to Hillary. It's Hillary Trump again. Anyway, hit subscribe to this channel. God bless you all. I'll be back tomorrow, people. Be here tomorrow.